Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Daily Dynasty Briefings, a quick review and commentary of the day's NFL headlines and transactions. We're looking at Saturday, March the 15th. Headlines and transactions. There wasn't a ton of movement on Saturday, but there was some key movement on Saturday. We had a trade, we had a decent free agent signing, but I'm going to go through all of the headlines using NBC's news reporting on football. I'm going to start with their first headline of the day and work my way up to the end of the day. The first headline of Saturday, March the 15th, was Kyle Juszczyk signing back with the 49ers. A surprise. They cut him for salary cap reasons. I didn't think they were going to bring him back because they are cutting wholesale. I don't want to say tanking their team, but they're ridding themselves of most everything from their past, from that past run. Gonna rebuild it. They've got a ton of draft picks. They've shed a bunch of salary cap. I thought Juszczyk would have been one of the easiest things to just get rid of and move on and rebuild, but they bring him back. That's not a major fantasy item. It's not a major item for the 49ers, even though somehow they are listed as the odds-on favorite to win the NFC West, and I can't believe it. I think they're going to finish last in the NFC West. But Juszczyk is back with the 49ers. The biggest free agent signing of Saturday, March 15th, Mekhi Becton, the former Jets high draft pick, a number 11 overall pick in 2020, who never really worked out. He had knee injuries, battled issues with his weight and with consistency, but I think it might have been more coaching in New York than, Becton had his issues for sure. You can't get, those knee injury issues were a killer for him early in his career. But magically, he goes to the Eagles last year and has a really nice season, helps bolster that offensive line that went to the Super Bowl. He was signed in free agency by the Chargers, 2 years, $20 million. That's a pretty decent contract for him, but my key takeaway on that, and I wrote about it in more detail on FFM notes this morning, is this is another sign of where Jim Harbaugh is taking this team that we already knew when he got hired. Then we saw it play out in 2024 season, that for fantasy football purposes, this offense is going to be heavy run game to the point that it's going to make you scream for Justin Herbert's lack of volume and opportunity, and it's going to put a cap to a degree on Ladd McConkey's upside. And I love Ladd McConkey. Had him as one of the highest rated players in the Dynasty rookie draft last year, way above Marvin Harrison from a talent standpoint. Ladd was the key value first round pick in Dynasty rookie drafts for us last year, and I want that. I'm hoping the Chargers will grow this passing game a little bit more, but so far this offseason, what have the Chargers done? Put money into Najee Harris, one of the dullest, weakest running backs to me talent-wise in the NFL, completely overrated, just runs straight ahead and goes as far as the offensive line will take him. But that's what the Chargers want to do. They want to have great blocking and have a running back carry the ball and take it as far as the offensive line will let them go. They got a good year out of. They had a good start to a season with J.K. Dobbins, really helped by the schedule of run defenses they faced. Then J.K. Dobbins kind of petered out after that. So now Najee Harris will get the same treatment. A lot of runs up the middle. Probably score a decent amount of touchdowns, be halfway decent for fantasy football. But it's more Chargers focus, Harbaugh focus on the run game. What have they done this offseason in the passing game? They re-signed Jalen Reagor. They signed Mike Williams. That's not improving the passing game. That's not making an investment in the passing game. The Chargers just continue to go into, they're going to be a running game, whether for fantasy football, whether you like it or not, for your Justin Herbert and even for your Ladd McConkey. So Becton's a good signing for what the Chargers want to do, but it's not a good sign if you're thinking that there's going to be a Justin Herbert turnaround for fantasy, or if you think Ladd McConkey is definitely going to go over the top of like a Brian Thomas or, in that range of receiver. He could if he was on a normal to high-flying passing game, but McConkey stuck with the Chargers. It puts a lid on his upside. I mean, he's still great. He's still wide receiver one worthy, but he's so good. There's such an opportunity for him to be one of the best PPR receivers in the game, but it's probably not going to go to its fullest with the Chargers. And I hate that because I have so much Ladd McConkey stock from last year. I'm not selling it. It's not a sell thing. It's a disappointment thing. Juju Smith-Schuster was the next thing in the news. He re-signed back with the Chiefs. That's not a big deal. He's likely there for when Rashee Rice gets suspended for however many games he's going to get suspended. It gives the Chiefs a veteran hand to be there. But for fantasy, for Dynasty, there's nothing left with Juju. And there's nothing left with the next headline. Cowboys signed Paris Campbell previously of the Eagles. I'm going to be writing about this sometime this upcoming week. I've been taking notes on it, but I was looking when I saw this Paris Campbell signing. I went and looked, and I'm like, what are the Dallas Cowboys doing? They were in a division with the Eagles, with the Redskins. Dynamic moves for the Redskins last year. The Eagles are just maintaining their dominance and making smart moves for the last 2 years and then some. Meanwhile, Dallas is signing Paris Campbell and Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. I mean, is Dallas working? Are they like an outdated version of ChatGPT? Are they being run by the 2020 version of ChatGPT when Paris Campbell was a highly sought after prospect, and when everybody thought Miles Sanders was going to be some great running back? I mean, I don't get what the Dallas Cowboys are doing at all. But I'm going to be writing about that more in detail this week. The Titans released Chidobe Awuzie, who they signed last year. I thought Awuzie looked really good coming back from his injury in 2023. They were pairing him with L'Jarius Sneed. I thought that was going to be a great cornerback combo, and it was. This was a good defense out of the gates for the Titans, and then Awuzie got hurt, then Sneed got hurt, then everybody, all their linebackers got hurt, and they completely fell apart. So they cut him to pick up a little bit of salary cap action. It may be that Awuzie's just too many injuries and his career may be coming to an end. But you'll probably see if we see some smart team like the Rams or the Vikings pick up Awuzie and sign him to a basic deal and see if they can rehab him, put him on a better team. He really looked good when he came back in 20 from his injury in 2023. He was one of the better corners in the league 2021, 2022, roughly, if my memory serves. Then he tore his ACL and he missed out on chunks of the season of 2023. Came back in 2023 at some point and I thought did fine. Then last year was going to be a good move for him to the Titans, and it just didn't work out. I'm going to be interested to see where he lands. I bet he lands with a contender like the Ravens or Rams, like I said before, Rams, Vikings, and maybe they're going to be able to squeeze something out of him. Ben Cleveland re-signed with the Ravens. That's no big deal. And then the last headline of the day was the Jordan Mason trade from the 49ers to the Vikings. I'm writing about this in much more detail, what it means from various different angles, from fantasy to dynasty to betting. I have thoughts on it that expand out from just talking about Jordan Mason, what it means for the Vikings, where the Vikings are headed, where the 49ers are headed. But just in and of the player transaction itself, obviously the money that they gave, the contract that they gave to Jordan Mason, means he's in a split with Aaron Jones. So those two are going to be 1A, 1B. That's an upgrade for Jordan Mason from where he was projected to be the backup or maybe even third string on the 49ers. And it's a downgrade for Aaron Jones because he's splitting with a legit back in Jordan Mason. The effect on the 49ers, it definitely solidifies what we projected all offseason so far. Isaac Guerendo is the handcuff to have to McCaffrey. Now it's obvious. But the one thing to consider with Guerendo, I don't know what... if I put 10% odds on it, 20% odds on it. But the way that San Francisco's remaking the roster and jettisoning old players from the core group from the last couple of years, trying to get way under the cap, going to get younger, going to be a rebuild, hopefully for them to get better going forward in 2026. 2025 being a transition year. I don't think it's crazy to think that Christian McCaffrey's not going to get traded either before the season, like in the preseason, like if everybody sees him healthy and running around and looking good, that he could be traded. Or you get into the season and the 49ers start out 2-5 or 2-6 and they're getting, whooped by everybody in the NFC West and they know that they're not going to compete this year. I think we'll see Christian McCaffrey probably get traded in season if his health holds up, if everything holds up. So Isaac Guerendo is in a pretty interesting position for Dynasty, for Fantasy 2025. I say that and then we're going to have to hold our breath for those that own Guerendo stock to see what the 49ers do in the draft. We can get all excited about Guerendo being the obvious number 2 and maybe McCaffrey either going to get hurt or going to get traded at some point. But then if the 49ers, who have a ton of draft picks, I'm guessing they will likely use one of those draft picks on one of these great running backs that are available in the draft. There's so many of them, of so many different varieties, and the 49ers have had such issues keeping running backs healthy. We can get all excited about Isaac Guerendo right this second, but a month or so from now, when the NFL draft hits and they draft whoever on day 3, because they don't need to press it in the first on day 1 or day 2, but there's going to be a ton of great running backs available on day 3. They land on the right one, and that's going to take Guerendo's value down because he hasn't been the healthiest player in the world either. Multiple ACLs in college. Got hurt last year when he got his chance and had a great game. He missed the next game because he was hurt. So you could say Garendo's got a possible is injury prone, just like there's McCaffrey career injury worries about his calf and the tendonitis and everything else that was hitting him last year. So those are the headlines from Saturday, March the 15th. I'm going to look at the transactions from the NFL line by line just to see if we missed anything of note for Dynasty or otherwise. Velus Jones signed with the Saints. His career's kind of hit a wall. Cleveland Farrell re-signed with Washington. That's not a big deal. Oh, Tyler Johnson. I need to write that down. Tyler Johnson signed with the Jets. I'll have more things to say about that this week on FFM, but I thought Tyler Johnson was going to be we identified him as the best value, the deep sleeper value free agent wide receiver available in the free agent class, and I didn't notice that he had signed with the Jets. This is why I'm doing this show, is to go over all the transactions, all the headlines and make commentary, but to also go through the transactions just to see what little hidden things are in there that are going to matter for our betting purposes. We're going to have they're starting to put more and more bettable things for the upcoming season on DraftKings, FanDuel, etc. Obviously, then there's going to be a tidal wave of them when after the draft and when the schedules get announced. We're going to be betting on the draft. There's so many things. We really need to make a focus every day to go through the details of the transactions, whisk through the headlines, and just keep checked in on all these moving parts and all the news that happens in the NFL. So, but that is it for this edition of the Daily Dynasty Briefing for the news from Saturday, March the 15th. And I am out of here.